Right. Let's see now. I should have just parried on and donated my points to the A team. But here we go, series. We have Tubac, Trat Ping Ving, Bob Rooney 03 subbing for Terra Incognita, and El Capitan. Immediately we see that it is a glass colony. So, making some glass, I'm pretty sure it's going to be profitable at some point or another. Available HQs are Expansive, Scavenger, Scientist, and Elite. No nukes and no claims on the market. So, potentially, I like the Scavenger here. Aluminium starts high. Easy access to silicon for glass, which also starts high. Electronics is starting high as well.
Scavenger colony founded.
Trats probably knows this map. Carbon obviously starts at $10, so
Expansive colony founded.
Scavenger colony founded.
easy upgrade. I think the Scavenger there. Tubac also going Scavenger, possibly at a slightly weaker location down south. A little bit difficult to bring water in, some ice here and there. Interesting to see how Tubac does.
Expansive
Capitan,
colony founded.
well, he's really restricted himself by settling in this crater. Not sure if that's going to work out hugely well for him. We got power surges, got slowdown strikes on the market. Bob Rooney, a couple of steel mills, some aluminium, steel mill, aluminium. On Bob Rooney, going out for some aluminium as well. So luckily for him, iron is very, very low. Otherwise, he'd be in big trouble. El Capitan should be able to upgrade reasonably easily. There's two Scavengers, well ahead. HQ2 for Trat and for Tubac. Trat choosing to snap a little bit of water, bring in a little bit of silicon. This side, the one next to his base is just too low, so he's going to have those highs. Not a bad move, there's no nukes around, so
market is online.
he can support a couple of glass kilns later on if he requires, which, given the price of glass, he's definitely going to want to.
Expansive colony expanded.
And Trat is just going full on expansion mode, which I think is the only way to play that. Couple of glass here for Tubac. He also, well, Trat's got his
Expansive
upgrade.
colony expanded.
Tubac, not so much. Tubac a little bit vulnerable here. Don't believe he's got any aluminium,
Scavenger colony expanded.
because he's transferred it both into glass.
The black market is online.
Slightly worried. He hasn't got his glass up and running. He hasn't got any silicon. Definitely a weaker position. Trat's identified the scavenger position immediately, and seems that might be a game winning found. Tubac has his HQ level 3 upgrade. Choosing to go into some silicon, support his glass. At some point he's going to have to think about moving into probably some food as well. I have to see what he decides. Trat's really getting shut down here. He has got Goon Squad on his glass, but the other one's not going to be doing very much for a long time. Frozen out from carbon, which isn't too bad. But it is going to slow down his upgrade reasonably significantly. Two expansives. Got a lot of water coming in. Bob, and some steel.
So,
Managed to pick up the uranium, which, if power does spike, as it usually does on series, it's usually a good move. Uranium can go pretty nuts, and that is pretty much the only uranium on the map, apart from two lows right up next to El Capitan. If we have a look at El Capitan, just a little bit slow on the upgrades due to the glass. Not doing too badly on debt. both the expansives and 20k of debt.
How could one refuse such a wonderful plot of
But
land?
gonna get quite hurt on the glass price, unfortunately. And a low iron tile up for auction, which is going to suit Bob Rooney probably better than anybody else. See if he wants to take it.
So,
So our two scavengers are definitely head and shoulders above the two expansives at the moment. Hopefully that situation's going to change later on.
Expansive colony expanded.
Expansive can do quite well on series due to the extra claims they have. I imagine Trat and Tubak eventually are going to cross swords. Certainly I would imagine they'll both identify each other as a threat. Trat's picked up
Expansive
a
colony
medium
expanded.
uranium as well. Imagine he's thinking at some point, maybe on the next HQ, he's going to have to move into power. Power is rising quite quickly. There doesn't seem to be any downward pressure apart from Tubak, who has got a couple of solar panels up. Seems a little bit strange that he's got them up here, but I suppose they're well away from his base, and Tubak is pretty much in the lead at this point. Gonna get an extra solar panel in,
The black market is online.
and possibly reactors maybe, or food. Moved into a couple of reactors, one claim remaining for him. In the meantime, Trat has also upgraded to HQ 4. Got some extra nuclear plants coming in, and a little triangle of reactors. Tubak unfortunately getting frozen out, not only by Trat but by Bob Rooney. Freeze on the solar panels, not very effective as they were going squadded. Tubak paying his debt off quite nicely there. He is quite a bit of debt, as is
Pirates.
Trat.
I hate
Both at
those
about the same
filthy
amounts of
bandits.
debts. So, doing reasonably well. Both the scavenger, both of our expansive have caught up. Though they both do need to think about power. El Capitan especially, he has got a solar panel going up, but his debt is looking a little bit nasty there. Sea levels of debt's never good, especially with shorter days on series. The interest ticks come quicker and quicker. But Bob's got some nuclear plants down, which unfortunately Strat just decided he's going to hit a slowdown strike on. And indeed his have also been
Expansive
struck.
colony expanded.
Tubak.
We're not surprised, just disappointed in you.
Well, Rooney decides he wants to attack this power. Kills off the goon squad with his network virus. Can't see another 40 seconds before he'd actually be able to make a proper attack on them. I would imagine Tubak in the meantime is going to want to get another goon squad down on those. And he does, excellent. It's a little bit of a race here. Trat and Tubak pretty clearly in the lead. El Capitan HQ level 4 as well, but fortunately his lack of powers really
Expansive colony
made
expanded.
his debts super duper high. 150k's worth of debt at the moment. Tubak a bit of a lead. Shut down again, power wise by Trat. Slowdown strike onto those solar panels. Let's have a little look. Trat seems to be selling down his rather large stockpile of aluminium. Going to make some good money on that. Buy into a little bit of glass. Obviously wants to get his HQ 5 upgrades in the pipeline. Rotated out of his glass into a couple of greenhouse farms, which I'm not altogether sure if that's not sure if that's the best thing for him. I'd have thought glass would have been a little bit better, but he moves into 3 glass
The
kills
black
now.
market is online.
We're susceptible to power surges there. Possibly would have done something a little bit different, but there we go.
A new claim is available for option.
And an extra claim from very kind folks at the colony. 16. Do I hit 18k? Looks like Bob might take this for 16. 2 back. Bob says no, I'm having it, even if you can bid it up a little bit. 20,000. Well. Trent's put a fair value on that. Bob's decided to go one better. Not really sure if that's a wise move, as it takes him into D levels of debt, and I don't really see what was so important that he had to go and get another one. He obviously prioritised water, because that's what he's decided, a 40k water claim. Considering that took him into D debt, so don't think that was worthwhile. Well, 2 back manages to come out of C debts, just into B. Sadly, Pleasure Domes going, falling left, right and centre. Strat appears to be in the best position with no debt, actually making power money. 400 to 300 a second, which is not too bad. Not amazing, but not too bad. I would imagine Strat is going to move into electronics factories. I can't imagine we're going to see an off-world out of him anytime soon. Prices are a little bit rubbish. El Capitan
Optimization center is ready. Time to start improving everything.
makes a move that I cannot support at all. He's just killed Bob Rudy and most probably himself.
I hate those filthy bandits. Pirates.
Would have much preferred to
I
see
hate
that money
those
being
filthy bandits.
either paid debt or I don't know. He's in 250k's worth of debt, which is massive, but he's just dragging Bob down with him, unfortunately. I think Tubac and Trat are going to be fighting it out.
The black market is online.
I kind of think that Tubac's got a bit of an opportunity here. Though he appears to be buying into himself. I mean,
Expansive colony
The
expanded.
engineers
I don't know,
have
El
advanced
Capitan
their
is
production.
looking awful cheap. Awfully cheap. And he's only going to get cheaper the more his debt interest continues on spiralling. See, it would only be 285k to buy him out, which could look pretty appealing to either Tupac or Trat.
New land is available for option.
Certainly snapping up El Capitan cheap and then having half a share in Bob Rooney would be a pretty attractive, position to be in.
So,
Wow. Bit odd. Fix it up for cheap. Needs to get his pleasure dome repaired. Wow, look at the price of fuel and look at all this water coming in.
Time to change our
Eating in. I can't imagine what Bob is losing on fuel. Well, all his fuel is just being sucked into his transport network, making 0.8 himself, which is dreadful. Right, Trat has got an optimization centre up and running. He seems to be making pretty decent money on all of his tiles, except these electronics factories. They don't look too hot. So Trat is reasonably well set up. And it's going for the hacking, yeah, there we go. Electronics shortage coming down from Trat.
The black market is online.
Gonna be boosting up those. Boost up the price. Unfortunately, somebody, I imagine, Tupac is surplusing them. Good move, I like
I
that.
wonder what goes on in there.
And I imagine, well, Trat's looking like he's going to do a hack on water. And there it is coming through. Tupac is surplusing at the moment, not really in a position to.
our hackers have compromised
think.
the trading service. Price
Imagining
manipulation
Tupac has
begins
got
shortly.
a spy There's his spy. You can see exactly what Trat is doing with his...
Pirates. I hate those
So we're going to
filthy
Trat, thank
bandits.
you.
Pirates.
No.
I hate
Trat
those
doesn't actually have a
filthy
spy
bandits.
down for 2 back. Which is a little bit surprising. I would have imagined Trat would have his land all spied out, but he doesn't. So he does not know what 2 back is doing with his aggro ray, but 2 back knows what Trat's doing with his. Not being used at the moment. Bob Rooney also has a aggro ray, which doesn't seem to be much use. And Trat steps up and actually has enough money to take out El Capitan, and also manages to get some of Bob Rooney as well. Kind of puts Trat in a decent position at the moment. Fortunately, 2 back didn't quite have enough money to be able to snap up Trat's
Expansive
shares.
colony expanded.
This is never a position that you want to be in. If somebody's buying somebody else out, you want to be able to, you want to have cash to immediately go into them and snap them up. Trat though falling into D levels of debt, which is going to put markets going to be a bit of an issue for him. Don't see an easy way for Trat to get out of his debt at the moment. He's got a glass shortage going on. Going back into
New
aluminium.
building is available for auction.
No, D+1 debts. Things are looking up for 2 back. Although 2 back took a weaker spot to start with, it looks like 2 back may possibly be able to overcome Trat. Let's have a look at optimizations. Trat's power, doing a few on water, it's got 1 in glass, 1 in electronics, 1 in glass, and nothing spectacular at the moment. 2 back, couple in water, which
Did you think
break
it would be
even
so
for him,
easy to
unfortunately.
hoodwink?
Fuel, obviously, which would be a very, very good upgrade to have. And a couple of water there, but
The
is
black market is
just
online.
concentrating on getting his power done. So I would say that 2 back has a slight advantage on those optimizations. Trat not using his optimization center at this moment. Optimizations are pretty expensive, especially with chems at 560. It's not going to be easy for anybody to go into chems, as the price of fuel is ridiculous. We're seeing massive, massive life support cost here. I think the price of fuel is massive because of all these water shipments coming flying up here. Would have been good for somebody, perhaps Bob Rooney needs to go into. Nobody's got any patents at this point. Bob Rooney does have a lab, and he's looking at virtual reality, which would probably benefit him as he has got 2 pleasure domes, but how many optimizations does he have? He's got 1 pending into fuel,
Our methods continue
then he's
to
going to
improve.
oxygen and food. But it's not making a huge amount. Just barely breaking even on his life support. Pretty heavily into power as well, which I think probably needs a rotation. It's water, that fuel price. Bob is also hacking fuel, so if you're hacking something, you probably don't want to be selling it down.
Our hackers have compromised the trading service.
Let's have a look.
Price
Trat has managed to come back
begins
slightly.
shortly.
B levels of debt now, and he's got a decent stockpile. Things are looking pretty even. Well, I say pretty even. Trat's got a lot, well, a big way to buy it.
Routine successful.
2 back there, 200k he needs. Trat, well, he needs 160k just to get
The
half a
black
2 back.
market is online.
So we can just pick those shares up now. But 2 back has a substantial
Our
limit
hackers have
in cash
compromised the trading
and
service.
1 stock.
Price
How could one
manipulation
refuse
begins
such a
shortly.
wonderful plot of land?
I'm imagining we're going to see 2 back snap this up pretty quickly. If we were Bob Rooney, it would cost us 870k to buy into either Trat or 2 back. Fortunately, it's a little bit off it. I don't know if there's anything Bob can do. A water shortage coming down. Why would you be having a water shortage,
The
Bob?
engineers have advanced our production.
You've been frozen out, but even so, you haven't got a stockpile of it.
Our hackers have compromised the trading servers. Price manipulation begins shortly.
Optimizing center not being used, patent lab not being used, hacker array not being
I hate
used.
those filthy bandits.
Anyway, Bob's decided he's going to be buying into Trat a little bit. Let's go and have a quick
The
look at
black
Trat.
market is online.
What have I missed? Isn't that all out? Has
Your
two
stock
back
is
been
being
selling
sold.
out? What's going on? Missed.
Your stock is being sold.
Oh, two back, you haven't. Oh, while I was babbling on, it looks like two back got scared and sold that at Trat, which is possibly the way he should have done it. I don't know. Was Bob making enough money? He would have been a big threat, but obviously two back saw Bob as a huge threat, and he was prepared to sell out of his harshest rival Trat just to secure him. Interesting. So Trat's there with $500,000. Two back, well, it's kind of handed Trat the game now.
The trading servers. Price manipulation begins shortly.
Two back is 400k behind. There he is, 100%. Rip. Difficult one to call, that. Wow, that was an interesting game, and I kind of think we missed the best bit of that. There we go. Two back is the kingmaker. Decides Trat's too scary, so he diverts to Bob Rooney. Trat saves up enough cash and comes back and gets him. Interesting game. Interesting game. I think I'm going to have to replay that. Let's have a quick look at charts and graphs. Two back making some serious money there on the water. Let's just see. Two back and Trat. Net business revenue very, very similar. Trat making a little bit more off the subs. Pleasure Dome's doing well for two back and for Bob Rooney. Interesting game. Bob Rooney definitely came back to be a massive threat there. Not a huge amount of optimizations. Two back, I think, had the best of them. Trat's not far behind, but I think Trat got some of his a little bit later. I'd like to see a few more out of Bob. I think anybody who'd managed to get a few into fuel would have made some really good money, and a couple into water. Patents were very, very late. Didn't really play any part in it. And there we go. I think that game could have gone either way. Any of those three could have won it at the end there. It wasn't quite how I imagined it. It's when I chose this map. I kind of think that Trat's spot was a little bit OP compared to everybody else's. But yeah, thought the expensives. I think they're a little bit slow, the expensives, to get to the upgrade 5 compared to scavengers, which you'd expect, but it kind of evened out there. The three of them, like I say, it could have been either way, I think. Right, let's get on to the next one.